Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. You know, in life, there's some people that are just problem solvers. And of course, there's also the opposite. You have problem solvers, and then you have Democrats. I have never seen such sheer incompetence in my life. You know, we've been covering the Democrats for a while, and we've been covering this concept of American hatred stemming from that political side, which of course people view as hyperbolic rhetoric. Democrats don't actually hate America, even though they seem to have activist groups that burn the flag on a near constant basis. They show up on MSNBC and talk about how they have PTSD when looking at the American flag or seeing a pickup truck driving by them with an American flag, God forbid. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is, are Democrats truly incompetent, or are they just trying to destroy America? Which one is it? Because the policies just don't make any sense. We want to save the environment by destroying our own economy and increasing our reliance on cheap Chinese goods produced by dirty energy. We want to keep importing oil from OPEC instead of drilling in more environmentally friendly ways at home and transporting the oil through pipelines. I mean, it's just stupid. We really care about people. That's why we're going to stand against Russia, and we're not going to buy their oil, but we're going to go and beg OPEC and Venezuela and Iran for oil. Stupid. But is it truly cognitive dissonance? Is it ignorance? Is it incompetence? Or are they doing this on purpose? None of it makes sense, man. The only way that it makes sense is if it's all part of some sinister plot to diminish America's position as a world superpower and global leader. With Donald Trump, it was American greatness. Make America great again. Make America affordable again. Bring jobs to America. Protect the economy. Good, favorable trade deals. Protect America's sovereignty and the border. Joe Biden, it's enrich and benefit everybody else at the cost of America. And here we go again. These absolutely foolish Democrats. Well, they've found the solution to rising gas prices that are crushing the middle class. Democrats just introduced a bill with a stated intention, a stated goal of reducing gas prices by, guess what? Taxing oil companies. I mean, you guys are not going to believe this stuff. There is stupid, and then there is Democrat stupid, a concept that's in a world of its own. But of course, before we get into any of it, please make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell to be notified every single time I post a new piece. And of course, with that out of the way, let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so just take a look at this. With U.S. gas prices at an all-time high, Democrats file bill to tax oil companies. We got this from Occupy Democrats. Breaking: Democrats file a bill to radically increase taxes on the, quote, big five oil companies to stop their despicable price gouging and exploitation, Putin's Ukraine invasion to milk Americans at the gas pump and give the money back to the taxpayers. Retweet if you support this bill, exclamation mark. Bloomberg reports, Senators Sheldon Whitehouse and Elizabeth Warren say they're working on a proposed new tax targeting profits being reaped by oil companies as crude prices spike amid geopolitical tension. I mean, who is voting for these politicians? I'm telling you, these Democrats are not problem solvers, they are problem creators. Their solution to every problem is regulate, confiscate, or tax. The same thing over and over and over again. And of course, the person who pays the price at the end of it is always you, the consumer. We're going to tax oil companies for ripping off the American consumer and overcharging for oil. I mean, what's that going to do? What problem is that going to solve? All it's going to do is put more money into the government coffers for politicians to play around with. And then, of course, the consumer is going to end up inevitably having to pay for more in gas. The Democrats' solution for fighting higher gas prices is to make gas prices higher. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. It's straight up a Babylon Bee headline. But of course, like everything else, it's a pattern of behavior. Democrats absolutely tanked the economy and the jobs market, which has in turn led to higher gas prices. And now their solution is to tax energy companies, which in turn, of course, is going to have the exact same effect. How many times are people going to vote for Democrats that are going to continuously screw them over? We're going to tackle crime by defunding the police, and then crime spikes through the roof. We're going to tackle this pandemic by stopping people from being able to earn a living. Of course, the data speaks for itself whether or not that was effective at all. It's just nonsense policies, and you're stuck at the end of the day paying the price each and every single time. Not to mention, what kind of solution is this, and what evidence is there that oil companies are gouging consumers? It's a global market, and the markets are moving in the same direction everywhere. It's basic supply and demand. With life going back to normal and production remaining stagnant and geopolitical instability, well, of course, the prices are going to go up. The funniest thing is that this is a Democrat solution for a Democrat-caused problem.
Number one, no more subsidies for fossil fuel industry, no more drilling on federal lands, no more drilling, including offshore, no ability for the oil industry to continue to drill, period. ends. Number one.
The problem is more demand than there is supply, and reliance on foreign products. And once again, the answer is so clear. Just produce more domestic energy, but Joe Biden, instead, is literally begging Venezuela, Saudi Arabia, and Iran for them to produce more oil for the American people. And by the way, all of those countries essentially told Joe Biden to take a hike. Completely incompetent, pants-down leader who's such an embarrassment on the world stage. And now we have this just in. Saudi Arabia is considering accepting the Chinese yuan instead of American dollars for Chinese oil sales, the Washington Journal reports. So with Joe Biden's non-existent leadership, we have open borders, a massive crime wave on the streets, inflation at the highest levels ever. If you look at the total picture, it's worse than the 1980s, I truly believe that. Afghanistan is lost, Ukraine has been invaded, the threat of a totally destabilized world, the economy's in the gutter, and now possibly the end of the petrodollar as we know it. This is why, as I always say, the Democrats should be never anywhere near the levers of power, because this is what happens. They screw everything up and blame somebody else. They cause all of these problems, which have lasting long-term effects, and then they run on proposing solutions to the problems they created. Bunch of inconsistent hypocrites. And you can tell by the constant hypocrisy that plays out on Twitter. Here's Brooklyn Dad Defiant, the biggest Democrat shill on the platform. 2017, he writes, gas has gone up 40 cents per gallon here in New York City since Trump, quote, won. Not a coincidence. Fast forward to 2022. Who else fully understands that high gas prices are not President Biden's fault? Well, interestingly enough, by Joe Biden's own admission, by his own standard, it's literally his fault. Here's Joe Biden in 2020. When somebody is president of the United States, the responsibility is total. And of course, we don't stop hearing him talk about Putin's price hike, and literally everything is either Putin or Donald Trump's fault. But the reality is, Democrats and of course government involvement is usually the source of all of it, and the loyal vote blue no matter who Democrats who have shut off their minds and just blindly follow this stuff because for them, blindly voting Democrat over and over again seems to give them some sort of feeling of moral superiority. Well, of course, they're the enablers. It seems to be a pattern, almost a cycle. Democrats causing problems and getting elected on those problems, then implementing policies to exacerbate said problems to then get elected on said problems, over and over and over again. It's nothing but a grift. But luckily enough, we seem to be at least in a temporary moment of enlightenment, as people are finally waking up to the incompetence of these Democrats and their policies, as the last 2 years of Democrat governance from city to state to federal level has done nothing but make people's lives worse. It's a proven track record, and people are finally starting to wake up.
Wall Street Journal polling reveals inflation is hitting minority voters the hardest, and that could spell trouble for Democrats in the midterm election.
Republicans really making gains among non-white voters, black voters from November up until now. November wasn't that long ago. Thanksgiving. Think about your last Thanksgiving, not that long ago. 12% to 27% now. And look at Hispanic voters. This is the story. November 37%, now 46%.
It's very simple, folks. You want a problem solved, never rely on government. And of course, by extension, never vote for a Democrat. You're better off with a Mitch McConnell than literally anybody with a D next to their name. And that is saying a lot. That's also what I got for you guys for this video. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, share the video as much as possible. We are still shadow banned by the YouTube algorithm, hidden from non-subscribed viewers. I'm going to get back to work though. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.